Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. The past couple of years really have represented a rather large rise in the stock market. If we have a look at where we were in 2022, after a brief dip, we saw stocks essentially rise exponentially. Look at this increase from around about the middle of 2022 into 2023 up to where we were at the highs. Stocks were up nearly 70%, and even really accounting for the drop that we've seen since, still up around about 50%. It really has been a good time in the markets. Now, inevitably, whenever markets boom, whenever things are going well, people start to wonder when a market crash is coming. And the interesting thing is, we've been speaking about this long before since the Trump policies came into place, and actually from quite a while ago. One thing that really stands out, and this was from February of this year, 90% of fund managers nearly are suggesting that US stocks could be overvalued. And just for a bit of representation, this is the largest amount since 2001. So let's have a little bit of a elaboration on that. What we can see when we have a look here is that in a recent analysis, and this was conducted in the February Global Fund Manager Survey, we can see that survey managers, including 205 panelists managing 482 billion in assets, found that 89% believe that US stocks are overvalued, the highest level since 2001, specifically April. So yeah, this is really quite interesting, again, suggesting that essentially a lot of assets could be overvalued at the minute. And we've been seeing these suggestions for quite some time. Again, if you have a look at the way the economy itself's been behaving, especially when you contrast that with how specific stocks are moving and how the general indexes or indices are moving, it does beg the question, is this fair value? Now we start to think about the impacts of the tariffs, right? The Donald Trump tariffs, and we've spoken about this before. So a lot of experts believe that we could already be in a crash. A lot of people see it as coming, but a lot of others believe that it could be coming, and the manager of Blackrock is one of those people, but we'll get to that in a second. Then we have Robert Kiyosaki warning that the giant market crash of 2035 has already arrived. So Bitcoin is finally breaking beyond the descending trend line. However, it is obviously a lot lower than its all-time high back in January, and the supposed billionaire entrepreneur Robert Kiyosaki posted on X that those who acquire Bitcoin, gold and silver may come out of the current market crash on top. So Robert Kiyosaki, of course the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, took to X on Sunday to post his views on how Bitcoin, gold and silver were sending the market into a very important message. He said that gold was at an all-time high, demand was exploding, and Bitcoin was roaring. And he asked the question, are you listening? So essentially he believes that a market crash could already be here. Again, he's saying that it's not too late, affirming that those who bought Bitcoin, gold and silver could still come out on top of this supposed premeditated disaster as the new and rich leaders of the world. And again, that's just an opinion, but it's one that we're seeing mirrored in a lot of different areas of essentially money, the economy, and even fund management. And that brings us on to the next story that I want to look at. So we're seeing Donald Trump's tariffs have a massive impact, and Larry Fink, the CEO of the world's largest asset manager, which is of course BlackRock, is concerned. He's warning of potentially another 20% crash in the markets. Now again, whether that happens or not, we will see, but it really is interesting that we're seeing so many really accredited names coming out and speaking about this. It seems to be that the general sentiment in the markets at the minute is one of decline, right? One where we expect, or where a lot of experts expect, that the markets just could continue to dip as this trend continues. So let's have a little bit of a read as to what's coming out of BlackRock. So this is really quite substantial. Again, we could be looking at another 20% decline in markets. And of course, Larry Fink of BlackRock is a veteran in the investing world, whether you like the guy or not. And of course, a lot of people have a lot of strong opinions on him. But, you know, we're seeing so many people now coming out with these opinions. Again, he says it doesn't mean that we can't fall another 20% from here too. So that's even accounting for the drops that we've seen. What would that be? You know, a drop of 20% plus what we're at now, 40%, 50% even potentially. Again, markets are absolutely fluctuating due to the uncertainty. Markets briefly rose on President Trump's consideration of a 90-day tariff suspension for all nations except China, but the White House, at the time, of course, of this article being written, called this fake news. But now we have, of course, an update on this. So yeah, Will markets continue to decline? Clearly, a lot of important people in the space seem to think so. But what are your opinions, guys? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, of course, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. And I hope I'll see you soon. Goodbye.